Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I'm Ann Alvarez, parent coach, school counselor, and mom of two. Do you struggle with your relationship with your kids because you carry childhood pain? Do you get triggered by your child's behavior, become irrational, and maybe even yell at your children? Maybe you want to be a better parent, but you don't know how. Instead of repeating old patterns, you want to heal your pain, become more aware of your child's needs, feel connected to your kids and learn the tools to communicate better so you can truly enjoy your parenting. If you are ready to heal your childhood pain, raise healthy, connected, and happy kids, and end the cycle of parenting with pain, then join me. Our kids deserve it, and we can do this. Let's go. Hello, parents. Welcome to the Masterful Parenting Podcast. I am so excited because we have a special guest. His name is Robert Schmus. He serves as a mental health professional as well as an autistic self advocate. In his practice, Robert supports the neurodiverse community, including autistic individuals, using a variety of therapeutic interventions. His experience as a clinical professional on the autism spectrum places him in a unique role. As a self advocate, Robert has experience educating communities on topics relating to the autistic and neurodiverse communities, such as employment, relationships, mental health, independence, and self advocacy. Thank you so much, Robert, for joining us today. I think you're going to give a lot of insight for parents who may have children on the autism spectrum. So, welcome.
Well, thank you for having me.
So, I want to ask the first question, like, what is your experience with autism?
Well, my experience really is based off from how I from how I grew up. You know, when I was when I was a kid, I always thought there was something different about me. Like I saw the world very differently. Like I especially when it came to social cues, like sometimes it was hard for me to socially interact with others. Like I was able to have some friends. It, especially friends I still have today.
Yeah.
But certain social situations always made me anxious. I also had a lot of fixed interests, like history, music, culture. I was able to tell facts off the back of my head. How and as I said, I just saw the world differently than others. So,
And you
but
noticed that at an early age that you saw the world differently from other people?
yeah, I was able to I can even say since the age of 4, I guess. Yes.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. So, what do you want parents to know about autism?
Well, what I really want to know about all what I would like parents to know is that just because your child is autistic doesn't mean they cannot do things. They can do amazing things, no matter what level of support they need. And the best thing to do is listen to your child,
Hmm.
and don't discourage them just because they're autistic.
Wow.
And mhm. And just because they have a focused interest, that that could actually be a strength for them.
Yes. I just want to say, like, I'm so impressed by you, and I want you to tell parents like how accomplished you are. Like, this is the time to brag. You have a master's in social work, right?
Yes. Yep.
And you have been working like, you have a professional life, a normal life, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes I think the messaging is when you have autism, oh, they're not going to be able to graduate or they're not going to be able to be successful in their careers. And I think you're breaking that kind of thinking about
You know,
autistic children.
Yeah, and there's actually it's interesting you bring that up because when I was I don't I want to start with how I was diagnosed. You see, early in high school, I my social anxiety got really bad. By sophomore year, I it gotten so bad to the point where I had to be hospitalized in a psychiatric unit.
Wow.
And it was at that moment in that the psychologist there, that was like the darkest moment of my life because I didn't know what was going on. I was having so much anxiety. I cope couldn't cope at all, and that's what led me there. Yeah, it was President's Day weekend 2005. I was 15 years old,
Mm.
and it was at that it was during that time that I excuse me that I was the psychologist there diagnosed me with autism. And of course, I didn't know what it was. And they told me what the symptoms are, focused interest, routine. Like I've always had a routine ever since I was a kid, For example, when I went after school, I would go right right to like the dining room to do my homework, and I didn't like that routine broken, so that's there. It difficulty with social cues, and when I heard all of this, it was like, oh my god, that's my life. And
Wow.
yeah, and also, and not only it was mind blowing for me, not just because I knew what this was, but I was not alone. That
Yes.
that I'm not the only one. And of course, every person with autism is different. There's those who have high support needs, such as difficulties with cognitive difficulties
Yes.
and limited verbal communication, and those with low support needs who like have verbal communication and some cognitive and less cognitive difficulties, but or but still have issues. And
Yes.
and it was and going back to what you were saying about those parent like seeing knowing that like those with autism can do anything. I remember a year later I had an IEP growing up, and
Mhm.
had these I had these psychologists who would go do evaluations like outside of the school district. And one of like I told them about like this one psychologist about how I wanted to go to school and live away to college, to because I knew that would help me to grow up, help me to be responsible, and help me to improve my social skills. And
Yes.
so after that, like a few weeks later, like in the mail, I would receive evaluations, and my parents would let me read them because they were my evaluations. And I remember near the end, like in the summary, psychologist wrote, due to his Asperger's syndrome, which it was what it was called then. Now it's autism.
Yes.
And I consider myself autistic, not Asperger. Anywho,
Okay.
so it said due to his diagnosis, he it is unrealistic for Robert to live away at school. And to me, I wasn't like I was taken aback by that,
Yes.
but I wasn't discouraged because who was this person? They don't know who I am, and
Exactly.
I was still going to go to school, and my parents were very encouraging of me with that.
Wow.
And I went away. I was able to go away to school for 4 years, live there, the same school 4 years, go get my master's in a year. I did advanced standing,
Wow.
and which is like when you do is like 1 year master's because you did graduate level courses in your senior year of college. I
Okay.
was able to get my LCSW license. Like it was a tough test, but get my LCSW license in both New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
Amazing.
and I was able to wor- work for many years.
Wow. I think that's so good for parents to hear, like you really are an inspiration to me. And with the kids I work with at my school, like it just inspires me. I have told people about your story because I'm just so I just find it so hopeful, like let's not put limits on people, you know? Let's let them find their interests, their passions, what they want to do, regardless of whatever they bring, whatever they come with, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's pretty amazing. So what were some or what are some challenges that parents might have with having a child with autism?
I think the challenge that I've seen like in the past years, like it is that the there's this fear that, as you said, someone they find out the child is autistic. The fear, like, oh my god, this is like, it feels like a death sentence.
Yes.
It's the way how it's presented, how it's been presented in so many years, like, um and of course they're afraid, they won't, like you said, they won't able to get married, get a job, or things like that. Like, I remember when I was a during the time I was diagnosed, I do want to also state that, my parents told me that it was suspected when I was 10, but it wasn't fully diagnosed.
Okay.
Anywho, I remember that, just like around the time I was diagnosed, it was always seemed like, eh, I like, autism is like the death sentence. You'll have to take care of your child for years and years, and they'll never be able to succeed. Like, it's like, and all it's really based about around the ideology of curing autism.
Right.
Yeah, which of course is dangerous,
Mm-hmm.
very dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, like, I guess that would be a challenge, like being told in a way that that's disparaging.
Yes.
Um, Another challenge, I think, when it comes for parents of autistic children is, you know, I finding services for them. Like, like, for the past few years ago, like especially years ago, like there weren't many services out
Yes.
there for autistic children.
Mm-hmm.
It was either that, of course, based on the state, like there was no there were either no services out there, lack of services, or the services were very hard to find. Like, and there's always these hoops that parents would have to go through in order to get those services. Like, oh, they would need such as this type of insurance, or you have to have the diagnosis written by such and such,
Mm-hmm.
which, can, especially in if they're from like a when they're from when they grow up in an area that doesn't have those resources, that can be very difficult.
Yes. Yes. So then maybe they need to maybe move or find other ways to support their child, right?
Yes, and there have been like improvements. Like, I know, for example, there's been service done by, for example, the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia has a Center for Autism Research, which has been helpful for finding resources for parents of autistic children
Yes.
and groups to help them
Yes.
like accommodate in everyday life. And there's also, in Pennsylvania, they have the Bureau of Autism Services, which offer, like, on their website, certain support social groups for autistic youth, some groups for autistic parents, resources, social stories, which are very good, and are some that I've actually used in my practice with my
Yes.
clients.
Wow.
So
Amazing.
so they've been very good.
That's really great. That's really great. So how did you overcome your challenges of autism?
Um, for me,
You
how
had
I
supportive
over
parents? Was that part of it?
yeah, supportive parents, that was something that was very helpful for me.
Mhm.
Um, Also another something that was supportive, well, of course, definitely my parents. They were very supportive of me in my journey. Like they never like they've treated me, just because I was autistic, you know, I can live in a regular life. I can live an ordinary life, and that's something they've instilled with me since I was a even before my diagnosis. Like they knew like something was there, but they instilled with me, you're gonna live the life you want and work towards the things that make you happy, and that's something I love them for.
Amazing.
Another, yeah, and I think also what helped me was, you know, knowing that really just learning from my own life,
Mhm.
learning like what not only what I've accomplished, but what things have come my way. There's been times in past employments which were rough for me based on, especially with my diagnosis, and times where I felt discriminated against based on being autistic.
Yeah.
And, knowing that, not that's not like that was very rough for me, but it's not going to stop me from going forward. And of course, every autistic and neurodivergence journey is different from one another.
Right.
Like I can't just stand here and say, "Oh, you're in the same Germany I am. You've gone through the same thing I have," when of course that's not true.
Yes.
Yes. But
But
I know like but
go
knowing
ahead.
myself, oh, yes. But knowing myself, I know that I know who I am and I know where to go forward, and that's been very helpful for me.
Yeah, I like that you didn't have any limits on yourself and you still wanted to go away to school on your own, live an independent life. And you also were resilient through your challenges. Like, even though you had discrimination, you still had an attitude of, I'm gonna keep moving forward. I'm gonna be resilient. I think that is so amazing. When you take power into your life, right? You feel empowered with your life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I think it's so great. I love that your parents were supportive. I had Christian Armstrong. He's also an autism advocate on another podcast, and had the same comment that his parents were very supportive. And with the things that he needed, they exposed him. Like they exposed him in social situations a lot. Did your parents do that as well, Robert?
Yes, they have. And they have exposed me in social situations. And also I have an older sister. I have two sisters, one who's much younger than me, who's in her senior year of college, and I have an older sister who is like just a year older than me, and we went to the same high school, so I was able to hang out with her and her friends. So that kind of like a, a similar, I what
Yes.
if I like that really helped me to be in social situations. So
Wow.
that greatly helped me.
That's really, really great. Oh my goodness, I'm so inspired. I want to say thank you, Robert. I want to ask you though, how do people find you if they want to work with you?
Well, I can be reached. I have a speaker hub page.
Okay.
Um,
I have a website here that I can post. Is that your website?
yes.
Okay, great. So I will post that for parents. If they want to reach out to you and get some support, then they can reach you, right?
Yeah. Is that my speaker hub webpage?
www.schmus. Claire?
St. Clair. Oh, that's one of my
Thank you.
websites.
Dot com. Okay.
And I
So
have
that
an
is yeah, go ahead.
and I also have another one on
Hmm.
Speaker Hub,
Okay.
and I can I can mail you I can email you the I can actually send you the web page for that.
Perfect.
Yep.
I will include it on the podcast notes for parents to reach you.
Awesome. And
Uh,
I can be reached by email
Okay.
at
Hmm.
schmus898 at gmail.com.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much, Robert. I'm going to put all your links with the podcast notes so parents can reach you. I think that was so helpful. I just want to do like a little I always like to do a little recap for parents. So parents, like, the takeaway is like Robert is a prime example. You don't have to be limited if you have a diagnosis of autism. And that as parents, we can't be fearful. We have to still push our kids to reach their potential and teach them about resilience and expose them to things that will allow them to grow. We don't have to put limits on our children just because they have autism. And yeah, and Robert is such a prime example of that. So I hope today, parents, if you have a child who is autistic, that you have a message of hope. Um, your child can still live a full, independent, prosperous life, and you don't need to live in fear. Right, Robert?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming today, Robert. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you for having me. It was great to be part of this.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, parents. I'll see you next time. You know, I love you. Take care. If this podcast inspired, blessed, or changed you in any way, I would love for you to share this with your family and friends on your Instagram page and tag me at Masterful Parenting. And join my Masterful Parenting Facebook page or DM me for more parenting support. And I will meet you here real soon. Remember, be relational with your kids and you will see a change. Love to all you parents out there. Let's change the world one parent at a time.